Taste of Country Nights with Evan Paul on demand, Season 2, Episode 39 with Keith Urban.
Competitive shows, and I went on several of them when I was very young, when I was 9 years old. I went on a show called Pot of Gold. It was on a TV show, 3 judges, went out there and sang and was completely crucified, and welcome to showbiz, kid.
Wow. What a fine chat we had with Keith Urban on this one. He really got pretty open with us about a little bit about his life growing up that we never heard about. So hop on in here. If you missed any of our past interviews, we just had Brantley Gilbert on. Miranda Lambert was on Taste of Country Nights on Demand. Thomas Rhett, Lainey Wilson. Go back and search for Taste of Country Nights on Demand wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Well, there's Evan. There I am.
What's up, man?
How you doing, Evan?
Good. How you doing today?
Good. I'm doing all right.
Okay. Which song from the new album are you most excited to play live? Because you got some bangers on here.
Yeah, just the ones between the beginning and the end. Any of them, honestly. Yeah, any of them. Maybe Laughing All the Way to the Drink, Chuck Taylor's. They'll both be fun.
Okay. I think there's some, was there a couple ballads on there? I got Love is Hard,
Yeah.
Break the Chain. Is that the most personal song you've ever released, Break the Chain?
Probably. Yeah, I think so.
What made you decide that now was the time?
That song just came, man. Like, I had no intention of writing that title or nothing about that song. I didn't know any of that was inside of me, you know. And it just came out that day when we wrote the song. So apparently I'm still working through things.
Really? Okay. That's very interesting. Can you share like an example of that as a dad or a husband or just a member of the community that you had to like rethink something?
No, just, like every kid born into a family of some sort with whatever challenges that family has, and mine was no different, going out into the world and figuring out how to be an adult and parts that I want to not continue that of my raising, you know, change the way things were done and break the chain was really what the song was about. It's a very hopeful song at the end. It's never too late to change them. I mean, none of us are it's none of our fault where we came from, right? We didn't get to choose our family of origin or where we were born or how we were raised. None of us chose that. But it is my responsibility to either change that or just perpetuate it and just keep it going into the next bunch of crap, you know what I mean? And I just wanted to, as I said in the song, you know, taken the best and discarded the rest, and I'm starting again.
Where did Love is Hard come from?
Because love is hard. Because it is. That's where it came from.
There's a lot of media attention on your love life, man, your marriage. Do you hesitate to put out certain types of songs just because you don't feel like answering everybody's intrusive questions like mine?
No, it's just more about, I think people don't, you know, songs aren't always literal in the sense of, if I just wrote about my life today, it would be a very limited record, right? So I've been a lot of people, I've done a lot of things in my life, have been a lot of people in my life. And all of those people, you know, are in this record in some form.
One of those people, you've been a judge on American Idol. Carrie Underwood's about to do that. Do you have any advice for her?
Oh, she's going to be great. I mean, it's such an advantage when you've been on the other side of the desk like Carrie has, because she knows what they're all going through. So she's a great call for that position. She's going to do excellent.
Do you think that she would have put you through to Hollywood if you were trying out back in your day?
Probably not.
Why not?
Back in the day, I had a lot of work to do. Shoot, man. I went on a lot of those shows when I was a kid. There was a bunch of them in Australia, those singing TV competitive shows, and I went on several of them when I was very young, when I was 9 years old. I went on a show called Pot of Gold. It was on a TV show, 3 judges, went out there and sang and was completely crucified, And welcome to showbiz, kid.
Wow. Has anyone throughout your career ever pressured you to like cut your hair or change your image?
Not really. I mean, early on when I got to Nashville, it wasn't really do this or do that. It was just about you're not really fitting in. So you figure it out. You figure out why you're not fitting in. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I saw that you bought Nicole a Lambo truck, but you drive it because she's not driving it. Did you secretly buy that for you?
Things get a little twisted and distorted out there in the clickbait world. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Can you clear any of it up, or
Nope.
are you not wanting to?
Nope. Only make things worse.
Okay. That's fair. Let's talk about Lainey Wilson. You got a song with Lainey coming up. What do you want to say about Lainey Wilson if you could speak on her?
Ah, she's legit. She's the real deal. And I just want to collab with people that are legit and the real deal, whether it's Eric Church and Miranda Lambert, Carrie Underwood, it doesn't matter who it is, Pink, just real deal people. Lainey's that for sure. A few years ago, I heard her voice and I just loved her voice and wanted to find something that we could do. I actually thought we might write a song at some point, but Go Home With You was sitting around and it wasn't a duet, but turned out to be a great duet. So I sent it to Lainey. She loved it, killed the second verse. And actually, when I heard her sing it, I loved her voice so much on the track that we wrote a bridge for the song that wasn't in it originally, just so I could hear more of Lainey.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's cool. That's cool, man. Now let me ask you, you brought up like Breland and you're early on a lot of artists. So who do you think is next to really come up? Is there anyone on your radar?
There's a bunch, man. Chase Matthews doing great out there right now. He's a great singer-songwriter, local native Nashvilleian, which is super rare. He's got his own thing, so I really love Chase. Ella Langley is another girl I love, really good. Carly Scott Collins, I just played on a track on her record and love that. I love the way she sings. Man, it's a big bunch of new great people happening out there right now. Really, really good.
That probably makes someone like you, a songwriter and a singer happy though, right?
Very much. And I love getting to collab. Even Alana Springsteen, she's great. And she came and sat in with us. We played at Summerfest in Milwaukee, and Alana came out and did a song with me, and it was great. She's the real deal too.
What do you require backstage at your shows nowadays?
My band. It's good if they're there. So I know I can walk out and play with some musos. I don't have any of that. Like, you know what I mean? Like the rider and the whole thing. It's like I'm pretty low key. I don't really need much.
There's nothing? I mean, catering or something?
Well, you got catering, yeah, of course, but there's nothing specific. Like I don't have the elaborate rider like a lot of people do. I like water. If I can get water in a glass, like glass bottle instead of plastic, it just tastes better. It's probably a bit healthier. That's about it.
Are you a water snob? I'm a water snob. I can tell what brand what is immediately.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
No, I can't do that.
Wow. Interesting. What can we expect for you coming up for the rest of the year, man?
Are you an aesthete in general? Do you have a great sense of taste and smell, would you say?
I do.
You do?
I do.
Yeah.
And that works well, except for I have toddlers and a 1-year-old. The smell is
too
not
good,
man.
It's too good, right? Yeah, right. There's times we wish it was more lame. Got it. That's funny. What do we got going on? We got Vegas coming up in October. Psyched to get back and play there. It's more of a limited engagement. We do 5 shows in October at Fontainebleau. Brand new venue, brand new show for us. We obviously got a lot of songs off the new album to slip in with all the older songs. And then we're back there again in February for another 5 dates. So really looking forward to getting back to Vegas.
That's awesome. The food there is where it's at.
Yeah, it is.
Man.
Yeah, really good.
All right. Cool, man. Love the record. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
hanging
Evan.
out with me today.
Thank you very much, man. Nice to talk to you.
You too, man. Have a good one.
Yep. Bye.
O'Reilly. You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I want to thank Keith for coming on. And as a special on this podcast, we're also going to include an interview we just did with Jackson Dean. Let's get into that one. Taste of Country. We're hanging out here with Jackson Dean. What's up, man?
Not much, brother. How are you?
I'm good, man. You've come a long way since the last time you were here, man. Last time you were here, you were like fresh out of singing the national anthem in a high school football uniform or something. Now you're like singing in front of thousands every night, man.
Yeah, man. It's been quite a jump since then.
Yeah. Now this is the second album, right? I want to start out by talking about Big Blue Sky, because that's how you open the album, and that's about your dog, your childhood dog, Carl.
Yeah, man. Carl was a legend, man. He was all white, and he was fast as lightning, dude. But yeah, he was. That song is just literally a little picture frame of him going over the hill. Is why I held on to it so much. But it was just like as big as we could make it, and just like it felt like classic American country rock. But to open a record with that is a bold move, I guess. But it felt fitting.
Was it sad?
Yeah, man. We all felt it really, really hard. I mean, I've been with my men for a long time, so they know Carl and they're like family to me. So Carl never saw the tour bus, never saw tour life or anything. And I always wanted to bring him out and just be like, yo, dude, he's here. He's like 14 years old.
Yeah.
But he started having seizures back home. And that's about the time we wrote it. We were on our way to play with Hardy. And he died when we got out to Blake tour and Blake Shelton tour. And we've just been playing it ever since.
I think nothing says country more than opening a record with a dog, a song about a dog, man. I think that's awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
What's changed the most with you from when we first saw you when Greenbrook was out to your new album?
We've put down a lot of crazy miles, a lot crazier miles between now and then, man. I mean, we wrapped the globe once and went international a bunch of times, dude. Just put down some crazy miles, and this record shows that for sure. You get influenced by where you are and the miles that you do put down, and the stuff that happens in between. But no, a lot of growth as a human, I think. I'm not 18 no more. We're rolling around with the best of the best out there now, and I'm grateful for it every day, and putting men to work, and got more work than we can handle.
You've been on some big tours, like you're saying. Who has taught you the most, and like what did you learn from them?
When you play as many different shows as we all do, you're never really unless you're on a big tour, like where you're 6 weeks out. And, the short answer to this is Blake. And just to watch him from a singer standpoint work a mic, and just like entertain people in a way that I'm not that guy. I'm more just like, I'm going to give you a whooping here. And I'm coming at you, and our songs are some of them are pretty intense, and, that's what we do. But to watch him work a crowd and like to not just hold his own, but to like have so much fun with it was really awesome to see. And, they're really great. They're really great folks over there. And Blake's so gracious, and so is Gwen. Like, after parties, like my mom would be there and she'd be talking about babies with Gwen Stefani, and it was just
what?
Yeah,
All right,
it's like what is happening right now, Mom? Yeah,
Okay, so you're at an after party. Your mom's talking to Gwen Stefani in the corner.
It was the last party of the year for the tour,
and you're over here talking with Blake. And
Carly Pierce, the whole crew's there. Everybody's there.
What do you talk to Blake about?
It was just, we were both working pretty hard out there, and it's funny, like the time that you actually get with each other is sparse because he was running around taking care of business. He's on The Voice, for God's sakes. But no, you just talk about the tour, and then we look over and just like, there's my mom standing there with Gwen Stefani and my sister, and they're just talking about babies, and I'm just like,
wow, that's
cool, awesome.
Can you spell banana?
B-A-N-A-N-A.
Okay. What about personally? You're established now. Is it good for your career, like songwriting and stuff, or is it make things a lot more difficult? Like, for example, when you're a rapper, once you come up, it's hard to talk about the hood. You know what I'm saying? Is it different now?
No, to keep the creative juices flowing, you definitely go through phases. I went through phases of that before as a songwriter. You go through periods where you're dry and you're like, God, I have nothing. Just like my brain is fried right now. But like the last 4 months, I put 160 some songs in a playlist of just sound hunting and just being like, yo, like this is kind of where we're gonna go up and over here, But I mean, we've been working. I mean, me and the boys just finished one up on the bus the other day and put it down in the back of the bus and on our mobile rig, and you got to stay working for sure, Did
you reach out to anybody for advice about like the dreaded sophomore album?
No, I didn't.
You don't even care. You're just like, that ain't me.
Nope. I was just like, well, all it has to do is beat the last one, and I guess we call it a success.
That's right. Okay.
No, man. This record has been put together over the last 2 years, and like, I didn't even walk into it with a full concept before I put it all together and threaded the needle through it. It was really just like, we're going to go cut the best of the best of what we got right now and what we're digging right now. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to conceptualize all this and thread the needle through it and sequence it. And it was a really fun time, in songwriting. Sometimes you write songs and then months later you figure out and feel why you wrote the song you did almost a year ago. And you're like, oh, I feel why I did that now.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's like, there's so much of that on this project, but like once Jane got into my hands, and then the line of which we named the record, On the Back of My Dreams, I was just like, all of these songs have just a little pinch of the surreal in them, and that's all Jane is really about, is that blissful feeling of surrealness. And I was like, well, she's got footprints all over this record.
Mm-hmm.
She's got tracks all over the place in this Sonicville, and but yeah, man, it was a hell of a time stringing the needle through this thing and trying to tell sort of a linear story through vignettes and the score of little vignettes of life.
Crazy shit.
Yeah, man. It just wasn't a random order.
Yeah.
And it's not hard. It's just like, there's a beginning and there's a finale, and that's it.
Let's talk Heaven's to Betsy, because that's tear jerking. Is that anything personal? Is that
no, man? We've all seen that situation play out too much. Where I had two best friends who are now diesel mechanics. One works for Caterpillar, and they slept on my couch for 2 years. And their dads weren't around until we were already, had jobs and making money, and and it was just like, I just seen it play out too many times. And then it was literally written right up there on Music Row, underneath Carnival in the sunroom at Little Louder. And Driver Williams walks through the door and says, "Heavens to Betsy, boy, what do you think about that as a song title?" And I didn't grow up around that term at all. And the first thing that flashed into my head was a scene of Dad sitting on the outskirts of heaven on the edge of a cloud looking down on his daughter on Breaker Breaker 19, Heavens to Betsy. I don't know if you can hear me, but up here you're coming in clear as a bell. You know, it wasn't the first line that I had, but it was just that picture frame that was just, it kind of just like held my head in this hand and just went like that.
Yeah.
Slapped it. And I was just like, oh, that's really great. I would love to write that. And I don't think Benji or Driver knew what I was like seeing, but it looked beautiful on paper. And I was just like, this is quite beautiful. And I never really thought that, you know, country radio was ever going to bite on something that heavy, or, you know, and I just thought I was never going to see the light of day. And then I started playing it on radio tour and watched it pull a few grown men to tears. And just like, I understand, even without the picture frame reference, which is why I love it, is just, it hits both sides of the plate so hard. And it's just like a different perspective you didn't know you needed to look at it from.
Well, so are people hitting you with stories now like crazy? Yeah. How do you handle that?
We've been playing this song for the last 2.5, 3 years, man. And every time it's like, even on social still, it gets, you know, people telling their story. Or just like, I think my dad told you to write this when you did. And, you know, meet and greets. I have so many people come up to me and be like, I lost my kid 2 years ago, or, you know, stuff like that is just, and it's just, and they always come to me in the best of ways, and they just say, thank you. And, you know, thank you. You know, it's a heavy thing, but I'm grateful for the love that it is getting across the board. You know, this song has had a wild journey so far, and I'm glad that it's out in the world as a finished product now.
Do you have like someone that you look up to that you hope to hear from one day?
How do you mean?
In heaven right now?
Oof. My grandfather died when I was about 5 or 6 months old. And I grew up with legends of him. He was a Marine and, you know, died with a six-pack and all that stuff. And Alzheimer's took him when I was like 6 months old. But I won't say my only, but one of my bigger figures in my life that way was my Grammy. His wife was my mother's mother. And she was just awesome, knew things about the woods and just cooked amazing food, and just died when I was like 9. But yeah, my Gramps. Yeah.
So do you believe in like afterlife stuff? And
yeah, man. So
okay.
here's a little,
let's go.
Here's a little eyebrow raiser. So my grandfather's buried at Cheltenham, which is a big military burial ground. And one of his famous sayings was, well, I'll get to that in a minute. So we go to Cheltenham, lay the wreaths on, which we've done many years before. And, you know, so you go lay the wreaths on all the headstones. And so we get to Rickshaw's line and we're going down. And one of his famous sayings as before I was born was, that'll be 25 cents. Like if he did anything for you.
Okay.
That'll be 25 cents. And we get to his grave, and my grandmother at the time, we buried right on top of him. So we put her casket right there on top of his. And I remember standing there, bent down, I took a quarter out of my pocket, and I started to put it in between the grass and the headstone, and it shot out of my hand. And I dug down 8 inches by a foot wide semicircle, dug down as far as I thought it could maybe fall. No quarter.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shot out of my hands down into that coffin. And
at that moment you were like, I believe you.
I was like, all right, old man. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you like writing sad songs better than happy songs?
No, but the amount that you can expand on your perspective of what you're feeling in it is broader, I think. You can say a little bit more in sad songs and happy ones. Because once you pick the happy, you gotta stay there.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Where have you been and heard "Don't Come Looking"? Like anywhere weird or funny?
My local Tractor Supply has been pretty great.
Dude, John Party tells me that too. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty great. They don't know who I am there, and I roll in there incognito and whatnot. I mean, they know us because we're regulars. Yeah, but it's funny. There's one guy in there that knows, and we were picking. I had 40 pounds of bird seed over my shoulder, and my dog Elk. And I stop and I go like this. And the dude saw me stop and just be like, "Oh, no way." And he was like, "Are you?" I was like, it was funny.
That's funny.
But no, it's always cool to hear it out. You know, I've heard it back home, like cruising the back roads back home, like on, like I've heard it on this one road that I've taken, I don't know how many times in my life, you know, on the way to school. And like, it's the same way you go to BWI to get to the airport and all that stuff. And like hearing it in your truck cruising.
That's cool.
You know, your territory is really cool.
That's cool, man. What's on your tour rider?
Limes, ginger beer, and Tito's.
All right.
That's about it.
That's legit. Who do you get compared to? Like,
very, very, how do I say this? What's the words I'm looking for? Tell me the words I'm looking for.
I don't even know what you're about to say, and I can help you.
And I'm very flattered by this, but I get Stapleton a lot, and I did get Stapleton in the beginning a lot.
Okay.
In terms of like, I did learn a lot from him just from listening to Johnson Brothers records and Steel Drivers records, and I mean, Traveler came out and everybody lost their minds. You know, but in terms of vocal control and like how to approach singing and like what your vocal cords can do, and was a lot of him. I've had not as many people on that one, but I really am flattered by this as Cornell. That's something to strive for 100%. Like that man could open vortexes.
You talking about Chris Cornell?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We were thinking about doing a little bit of Audio Slave.
That would be sweet.
In our set. And we were going to do like Shadow of the Sun, but then I was like, boys, let's not blow my vocal cords out just yet. You know? Yeah.
Can someone do the guitar part do one of them where it's like, I don't remember what song, where it's like,
yeah. Where the crazy stuff that he used to do.
I can see that.
Yeah.
All right, I got one more here. Give me your best and your worst day in country music up to date.
Best day. I've had a lot of best days. But probably the Ryman show here in Nashville is probably one of the highlights of my life so far. That was the first place I saw Jamie Johnson. And then I got to meet him the other night in the green rooms of the Ryman, which was awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's crazy. Anyway, worst day, very small gig. I will leave location undisclosed.
Okay.
And we get boots on the ground on our way. We call ahead, say, "Hey, we're coming in. You guys got sound up and running and everything cool. We're about an hour and 15 out." And they're like, "What?" And we go, "What?" And so they scramble, and I'm just me and a guitar, you know. I walk into a bar with 450 people in it, getting ready to walk into a football game, and they're all getting rowdy, and they're like, "This boy's here to play you some music." And I go, "Okay, all right." And I'm like, "Okay, the stage is 5 inches off the ground. There's a guardrail in front of it. It's a dance floor that they put me on. They put a bar stool in the middle of the dance floor. And they grabbed literally like a 40-watt Tweed amplifier, like for an electric guitar, and ran my acoustic through it, put it like 10 feet away from me, leaned it up against the wall, and then my wireless mic that was going from the mic to a DJ booth and then not coming through the speakers out of the DJ booth because that wasn't happening. It went through the freaking intercom of the entire place, the entire 2-level place. So it's just my vocal clipping the entire system of the kitchen, the bathrooms, the entire, it's so outside. Like, oh my God. I sat down and I was like, okay. And I just gave him the business, and I unplugged, walked out, and I'm pretty sure I had 3 drinks sitting on the curb out back next to the dumpster. And I was like, okay, all right. And then we got in the truck and went to the next one. So,
there we go. Well, it paid off, brother.
Yeah.
Well, man, we love the album, man.
Thanks,
I
man.
like how you put it together, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, thanks for coming by. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I hope I haven't overstayed my welcome.
Yeah, of course not.
And it's always good to see you.
You as well, man. All right, let's bring in Billy Dukes to talk about this interview and these interviews here. What you got, man?
A little bit of a different mood for Jackson Dean. And I wasn't there for this one. Was he tearing up? Was he getting kind of emotional talking about his grandma and his grandpa and him being buried and the single Heavens to Betsy?
A little bit, but it's like trying to watch your refrigerator cry. Like just nothing's going to come out of that stainless steel, man. Like he held it together, man, a little bit. But, you know, that guy is just like... It's interesting. Like you said, we've had him in here like 2 years ago, and the difference between Jackson Dean 2 years ago and a year ago and today, it was totally different. And I think like he's a little more broken in. He's more outspoken, and he's ready to kind of introduce himself. You know, at first it was he was just starting out.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, you can hear the growth. I'm not sure. He's a good interview. Like that was a good conversation. I wouldn't put him in the bucket of fun interviews at this point. Like it's a serious conversation with Jackson Dean.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think there's any way to break him. I mean, maybe if you can get him on like College Game Day or something and predict some wins, but I don't think if you're going to talk country or anything like him, I don't think you're going to break him. Yeah.
And it's important to keep in mind, too, he's still pretty young. I don't think he's, 23, maybe 25?
Yeah.
Like those kind of things seem to come when artists are much, much more comfortable, maybe his 3rd or 4th album. But I'll tell you, man, this album he released, it's a good album. It's one of my favorite of the year. Really good country, kind of a rock edge. Reminds me a little bit of like early Eric Church.
Do you think that he'll do anything like on the rock side? Do you think he would ever cross over, or is he going to stay? Is he real traditional country?
Here's my feeling on crossing over. Like, I don't think, unless you've just had so much success in one genre, like Jelly Roll has, like Morgan Wallen had, and there's been a few other artists, I don't think you should even think about crossing over to another genre. So, and I think that would be either his labels or his opinion as well. So to answer your question, no, I don't think he'll release like a rock single. I'll tell you an artist who has kind of done that, and I guess success is TBD, is Hardy. Hardy has had some country success. He hasn't had hit after hit after hit, but he is now promoting his music to rock radio in much more active ways than he is country radio.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I noticed that. There's a lot going on there, and I'm just wondering, like, I don't know. I was just speaking with Mitchell Tenpenny in a possible episode that'll be coming up later, and that's one of the things that he was saying is that his new album is genre breaking, and a lot of artists that we talk to, it's a topic of conversation. So even with Shania Twain, she said that told me country music was making its way back to where it was with her. Like she was getting called not country when she was crossing over. So it's like,
oh, for sure,
it's like coming back again. I feel like the genre, like when you open up your music apps, there's like a million different country subcultures. So I feel like, I don't know, I don't know where it's going.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of interesting things there. One, I always think it's smarter for like another genre to find you as opposed to going to try to promote yourself to the other genre. So if there's like a certain song that found its way to rock radio and Jackson Dean was like, I don't know how this happened, it's crazy. Right. Even, yeah. that's one thing. But I would actually make a case that sort of this division of genres in country is not good for the format. And you look no further than rock, that broke itself up into classic rock and alternative rock and hard rock. Now, people started pretty quickly saying rock is dead. I mean, the rock radio is much smaller than it used to be. Like, I think if we formally broke up country music into traditional country, pop country, country rock, I think that same thing would happen. Okay.
I mean, we kind of almost do, I guess we do with some of the like classic country stations, but other than that, right. Yeah, we're not doing like country rap radio. I get it. It's just, it's going to be tough. Like with every new genre art, with every new, not genre, like graduation of artists level, when they come up, like they're all pushing it. It's tough.
Yeah, I think it kind of is in some ways inevitable because people, when, as radio sort of gives way more and more to streaming, like people are going to be kind of driving down those little niches. So it is probably inevitable, but holding it off, I think overall probably good for the format. Because then what are we going to be? Taste of alt country? Taste of country rock? I mean,
taste of emo country.
Right. I mean, it kind of puts us. So maybe my argument's self-serving. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get it. That makes sense.
Keith Urban was good to have him on the phone once again. He was. This was a Zoom interview. Where was he at? Was he out of town?
It looked like he was. It was hard to tell. It looked like I think he was in town. Okay. But just had a lot of different interviews to do.
All right, fair enough. He visited recently, so we'll cut him some slack here. But
he did come in not too long ago. It was cool. It's cool. Like, we gotten to talk to him twice already this year. It's been a busy 2024 for Keith, but he had been off for a couple years pretty much before that as far as albums.
The one song about breaking the chain that we kind of focused on with some editorial, I thought that was the big get from Keith. Like, it is so rare to get him to really go into his backstory in kind of a committed way.
Yeah.
And that song does it. And to have a song to be able to ask a few questions through was certainly helpful. But even then, he seemed a little nervous to kind of open up.
Yeah, like you said, I wanted to know, like, while the door was open, I want to know a lot more. Give me some more. It's because in the interview, he also like wouldn't elaborate on the whole Ferrari or Lamborghini thing. So that you know that he doesn't like talking about his personal life. So like Billy said, it gave us a window in there. And it's really cool to see, is his parents still, are they around still?
Not sure about his mom. His dad died, I believe, in 2015. And it was a year later he talked to, I think, maybe Rolling Stone, and admitted that his dad was an alcoholic. And then this song kind of alludes to some abuse and a real cool relationship he had with him. So that relationship was certainly fraught at times. Although when I talked to him previously, he kind of indicated maybe that they had a good relationship at the time. So I don't know kind of the highs and lows of that relationship.
Interesting. Hey, the album's titled Highs, so who knows? Dude, yeah. Speaking of which, how cool was that Keith Urban did that pop-up show in Nashville the day before his album came out?
I mean, you got to give it to Keith Urban. The dude is working. I think he did the pop-up show at Buc-ee's, if you remember. He did a ton of media. He did the pop-up show in downtown Nashville. I think he just did another one for, gosh, I got some photos from it. I think it was in New York City, and there was a brand around it of some sort.
How pop-up are these, though? Like at Buc-ee's? So, like, is it a plan that he goes in and chops brisket, or is it planned that he does a show and then he happened to go in and chop up brisket?
Also, who's paying who? Buc-ee's is paying Keith Urban?
Yeah. What?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. But are they paying him extra? Because they're paying him to play, but are they paying him extra for the chopping brisket photo ops?
Are they paying him to play, or is he like legit, I'm going to play at a Buc-ee's?
I think Buc-ee's has to be paying him something, right? Because that's better. He could have played anywhere. He could have gone and played at Bass Pro, or he could have gone and played at Home Depot. You know what I mean? Like, he's partnering. He chose that brand. So, yeah, I think there's some payment going on there. Yeah.
Man, I wouldn't even take any money. I would just want like unlimited anything from any Buc-ee's at any time.
But my broader point here is that Keith, I mean, he is long past the age where artists need to work this hard, but he just continues to kind of really be progressive with his music. He works really hard to promote the music. I mean, other artists just simply don't do that. I mean, we had an album from a country legend. I'm not going to throw him under the bus, but you can figure it out yourself. An album from a country legend that dropped earlier this month, and it was like it went by with the wind passing. Like I didn't see a single interview or a single media outlet covering it. It's just really bizarre sometimes when artists just kind of roll the music out there and don't do much to promote it. And then you got Keith, who's a legend, a Hall of Famer eventually, and he's out there just working so hard. It's just really cool and refreshing to see.
Yeah, I agree. And, he's probably a guy that doesn't really have much, if anything, more to prove or accomplish, but he's still doing it. You know, he's probably living that life of, it's somebody's first day noticing who I am. So I want to make sure that I give him what I am, you know?
Well, I hope he stays insecure forever for our purposes. No, I'm kidding. He's very confident, but I do hope that he continues to kind of be as generous as he's been to not only his fans, but the media and really the whole community. He's a real innovator and a leader in that way.
Yeah, and to the hair community, man. Like anybody his age that still has got a full head of spaghetti. Like he's got a bowl of spaghetti up there, man. It looks nice.
Nothing impresses the guy losing their hair quite like a guy that has hair. That's something I found out as someone with hair.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, if you got hair, I want to talk to you about your hair, you know?
and then conversely, nothing that people with hair want to talk about less than their own head of hair.
Yeah, but I'll see you on the other side, Dick.
It's like the tall guy who's always getting asked if they play basketball. I think is the equivalent there.
At your job, do you ever have to deal with a nose roller? How about a snub pulley? Well, if you're installing a new conveyor belt system, dealing with the different components can sound like you're speaking a foreign language. Luckily, you've got a team ready to help. Grainger's technical product specialists are fluent in maintenance, repair, and operations. So whenever you want to talk shop, just reach out. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.